Travis Wayne Goodsell. As I've come to learn the truth through studying the scriptures and studying real church history, using my science-based education, I recognize that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not true. They are lying about Joseph Smith, claiming that he was Christian, not the learning of the Jews. They lie about the Book of Mormon, when I can read for myself that it says it's in the learning of the Jews. And so when I do church history, knowing the core that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is lying, I know that they're a fraud. I cannot continue to search hoping that somehow the church will end up true, that Jesus is going to be real, because I already know the core that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not true. They're lying to me. They're lying to you too. And so if you're watching my channel and you've not already come to this realization, why then are you coming to my channel? Are you coming to learn why? Are you going to humble yourself and go, you're right, wow, I got deceived, and then desire to learn the truth? Or are you just going to conclude and say it's all a lie? Joseph Smith too, Book of Mormon too. And never bother to learn the truth, that it's the learning of the Jews, and then do your study and research to figure out what that is, so that you can correctly understand the Book of Mormon, correctly understand the words of Joseph Smith, and how they connect to the Bible. The majority of ex-Mormons, or those who are former Mormon, don't go that far. They realize the church has lied to them, and that's it. And if they do videos, it's to say that the whole thing is a lie. They don't care to learn about what the truth is. And for those who don't want to know the truth, whether it's ex-informers or Mormons, you are putting yourself in great danger, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is lying for a reason. And if you don't find out why they're lying to us and what they're covering up, you're going to be caught off guard whenever the day that shall burn as an oven happens. Because that's what Joseph Smith is trying to warn you about, as well as the Book of Mormon. So the church tells you it's the gospel of Jesus Christ restored. Really? It starts off saying it's the learning of the Jews. Hey, Lehi gets a book talking about utter destruction. And guess what happens at the end of the book? Utter destruction. How is that the restored gospel of Jesus Christ? Mormons and ex and former Mormons just get fooled by the lies of the church. And so when I do my church news videos every evening, as this one is too, it's under that knowledge that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a fraud. They're lying to us. And so I read the top story for today. You got cute little girls. The Church of Jesus Christ. They're not putting the full name? Is this the Millennial Church already? Launches global effort to nourish children and mothers. You may think, wow, the church is so true. Maybe there is some good in them after all. I read that and I go, yeah, I already know what's going to be in there. This is about spiritual nourishment and continuing to donate, as they've been doing, to organizations that actually do the work. The church will never expand their welfare square with the bishop's storehouses around the world. We're supposedly all over the world with churches and stake centers and missions. Why not a welfare square in every location too? We go and build temples. The whole doctrine is about physical and spiritual needs being met. It's not about giving a fish when they feel like giving a fish so that these organizations can be compromised to the church when the church needs a favor from them. Or it's a Mormon running the operation, so the money that goes to them for their paycheck, working for the nonprofit, ends up giving 10% back to the church, called money laundering. See, these are the things I see, knowing the core that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a fraud. They're lying to us. And because they're lying to us, they cannot do anything that is good. Everything has an ulterior motive. And so, checking to see if my theory is correct, I come across the subtitle of the title, "In Collaboration with Other Organizations." Ta-da! And then I kept scanning down below and came across where was it? Yep, there it is. Whenever we do anything, this is a quote by Camille N. Johnson, Relief Society General President. Whenever we do anything to bring relief to others, temporal or spiritual, we are bringing them to Jesus Christ. And will be blessed to find our own relief in Him. How did I know? How did I know? And so Elder Bednar visits Mexico. This was yesterday. And so he's doing a business deal in Mexico. Latest temple news. Church is buying up land around the world. So Armageddon, when everybody's dead, the church rises up and says, we own the land, we're now your rulers. And I've done the research, guys. This is exactly what they're going to do. They say so. They use Jesus as the code for it, because Jesus is not the Christ. And Christians who come to my channel learn the hard way when they think that I'm attacking the church only. I had 2 people comment on the video I did about the Book of Mormon not being comprehended properly in the learning of the Jews, saying that Mormons claim to be Christians, and 2 Christians came forward with comments saying, yeah, those Mormons aren't Christian. But wait until they actually listen to my videos. See, I had my research and study such that I can go into any field, any religion, any culture, from any time period. Do a quick little research, figure out the organizational structures of each of the developments, and I know where they originated from and how they're different, and if they claim to be the one true and only, dismiss it, because I know exactly where they're gone wrong. So Christianity, yeah, I just go to Roman Emperor Constantine with the first creed of Christianity, the Nicene Creed in 325 CE. Boom, Christianity is a fraud. So the same pattern with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Fraud. Christianity, fraud. So now I understand exactly what Joseph Smith was saying in verse 19 of the 1838 Joseph Smith history, in which he said, Christianity is abominable. Jesus Christ is abominable. Because they're anti-Semitic. Purposely designed to replace the Jews. Islam. They're in the news lately. They're claiming to be victims of what they caused. And so I know the origin of Islam. Go to Muhammad. 600 CE. He says he was the fulfillment of the Jewish Christ, the man like Moses. Went to the top of the mountain, received from the hand of God, Allah, the Quran. And then went on a murder spree to convert. Muhammad created a terrorist organization, and they've been terrorists ever since. Each and every single land that is run and operated by Islamists, the land designates the particular Islamist faction. They have Muslim, which is the culture, regardless of where they are, geography-wise. And then they have a military force that's a terrorist group. Funded, operated, taken care of, and supplied by the land of the Islamic people there. And so you've got the Hamas, Hezbollah, the Taliban, etc. around the world. And yet Islam tries to fool people of Western culture specifically that they're peaceful. And so I know they're a fraud because of Muhammad. The core, the origin. You cannot produce good from evil. And so, as I've told you, I watch the news, and I've been upset that the press, who's been failing to keep our government in check, are now all joined in attacking Israel, blaming Israel, forgetting Hamas as the causation. And so I'd had enough of Anna Kasparian, the Young Turks, and I made a comment. And 3 people commented on my comment. And I don't fear other people, putting me in my place. How dare you, Travis? Because I know the origins. And so the second person who commented and saying, are you trying to claim that they're all the same? The religion, the culture, and nationality and ethnicity are all the same? For Islam. And so, yes, I was able to respond. Are you saying you do not know Islam? Islam is the religion. Muslim is the culture. They live in various parts of the world. And the land, they are then designated by the land. They live in Palestine, so they're called Palestinians. This is basic 101 education. that everybody who hears about this should already know and understand. Such that if you think you're going to make a comment, it's supposed to be based on intelligence of the basic facts. And yet, there are too many people who speak out of ignorance. They speak out of the most recent story and forget the context and forget the origins of how it came to that point. They deny Hamas's involvement. And so yes, I called that person out as a supporting terrorist organization, thus a terrorist. Because Hamas is terrorists. They're militant. They're seeking to genocidally murder Israel, and thus the people who live in Israel. But it's for a worldwide attack on the Jews, which is what's going on right now. See, Israelis are Jews, and Jews are both the religion and the culture. And so yes, around the world, the news is reporting attacks on Jews. Here in Utah, Islamists are claiming to be victims without evidence. Nobody is doing to Islam here in Utah what Islam is doing to the Jews worldwide. And so I see there's a two-pronged attack. One of Islamists who actually physically attack the Jews, and two, Islamists who pretend they're the victims. You need to understand Islam poses as a religious front, such that when they get involved in a war, it's a holy war automatically, because they're all Islamists. And so even if Israel goes against the Palestinians and not Hamas, it's still a holy war. And that's what the news and the rest of the world does not know and understand about Islam. And Islam are playing people for dumb, taking advantage of our ignorance, so that they can turn the whole world as they have done against Israel, against the Jews, to genocidally exterminate them from the face of the earth. And so likewise, the church, everything they do is for evil. There is no good in them. You can't lie and be a good person. It automatically nullifies any opportunity to be called good. And if you haven't even read your scriptures, even in the Bible, you would still know this. A child would know it. If you go and you deceive a child, and the child recognizes that you have deceived them, the child will never trust you again. But for some reason, when we become adults, we still want to trust people who've lied to us and hurt us. What's up with that? Women in domestic violence. They still say their husband's a good man. He's just misunderstood. I was the one who did something wrong. And it doesn't help when they're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that tells women that divorce is sin and that they've got to obey their presiding husband. Those kinds of false doctrines lead to domestic violence. those false doctrines about our sexual natures as human beings lead to the sex crimes that are intensifying by people in positions of trust. It seems to be therapists these days that are involved in the sex crimes, as bishops are slowly fading into the history. But that doesn't mean that the church is all of a sudden good. When the church came out and said, oh, we're no longer racist in 1978, they're still racist. When the United States said no more polygamy, the church still practiced polygamy. So the United States had to say, listen here, you were pardoned and you're still practicing polygamy. You gotta stop. You can't do this. So fine. But then, in 1978, giving blacks the priesthood, the United States then said, okay, good. You're behaving. We will rescind the Edmunds-Tucker Act that shut you down for your tithing crimes, making polygamy a sex trafficking crime. And so then Nelson comes out and changes the law of chastity for child bride polygamy. And they've been grooming the children, and they've fooled enough so that there are now 72,000 children going on missions. That's the real story behind church leaders discuss increased missionary numbers and 36 new missions. They don't need to do that. I was in the New York mission. You know, the mission president would have to find new apartments or bunch us all together, like we did in the Brooklyn Flatbush branch, or the Flatbush apartment. We had 3 bunk beds there in that back room for the 2 Spanish-speaking couples, companionship, and then the district leader and I as the English. Dear God, I am glad my companion cleaned the tub. It was black. It was like they never bothered to clean it before. It was awful. So yeah, he saw that and he cleaned it for us. But dear God. Yeah, and then we had the first sister missionaries on Coney Island in that district. And so he ended up being on the phone a lot with them, specifically the one. And then they came home together on the same plane to Utah and got sealed in the temple for all eternity. I don't know how they're doing, if they're still married, or if the church and the misinformation for couples has caused a divorce in their family, like it did mine, or 2. Or Elder Stratford and the Berardi girl, or the assistant to the president and Sister Richter. You see, my dad, before my mission, told me, while you're on your mission, there is no one for you to marry. Other missionaries did not get that same advice, but there was no issue with that anyway, as much as I would have liked it to have occurred. And so, again, you just go over all of these with that understanding that there is something suspicious by the church, something they're not telling us. Ivory Coast ambassador meets church leaders. They're now doing a business deal with the Ivory Coast. Trees for Food launches at event in Kajiado, North District, Kenya. Another business deal. Early branch president in Okinawa, now 93, returns to Japan for the dedication of the Okinawa Temple. America used Okinawa as part of their advancement on Japan in World War II. And the church got in there to own the land for Armageddon, for the millennium. Family Search launches changes to its North American website. Well, Family Search is the genealogy program where you have to pay tithing to save your kindred dead. It's the extortion racket. Save your family or they won't be, or pay for your family or they won't be saved. The official church statement. Church humanitarian aid in the Middle East conflict. Notice they didn't say Israel. They said to shared partners, which you have to watch the news, and they refuse to give aid to Israel. And so the church denies aid to Israel. And then there's the whole psychological terminology. They use mental impairment, I think, in that one, or is it one of the others? One of them. And so, yes, there's a whole list, depending on which year over the past several decades you heard psychologists term mental problems, whether it's impairment, disabled, diseased, illness, retarded, mental health challenged, psychotic, psychopathic, mental, emotional, behaviorally challenged, unstable, malfunction in the brain, or chemically imbalanced. There's probably more that I'm missing. Like Psycho, but that's where the movie came from Hitchcock. And so, Senator Blackburn visited by the Relief Society. What's going on in the Senate right now? You got to pay attention to the news to know why would the Relief Society go to Sister Blackburn. Senator Blackburn. You've got to know her. What has she been putting forth in Congress to get passed that would make the church want to embrace her and help encourage her and fellowship her? That was part of the trick. And so, Uchtdorf meets with certain ambassadors, one of which was Pakistan. Do you know what's going on in Pakistan in the news? What about the senators? Oh, senators. I wonder who? Well, it was the Mormon boys. And so again, why is Uchtdorf meeting with government leaders? I'm sure it's to spread the gospel. Everything has an ulterior meaning and motive behind it. An ulterior purpose. Not a single one of these things are any good. These are all criminal. And our government refuses to do anything to stop the church this time. That's how powerful the church is. That's the danger you're in. And the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith warns you of this, but you refuse. You either believe the lie as a Mormon, or you believe the church is lying and you go. You don't care to figure out what the truth was. And both groups are in danger by the church, who are going to murder you. They're all setting it up. They used your tithing to pay for the war in Ukraine. Likewise, they used your tithing to pay for Armageddon. And when the church came out with their first presidency statement on Armageddon, it was the wrong wording. The rabbi here in Utah felt betrayed by the church. And it got so bad that the Jerusalem Center students and faculty had to flee to Greece. And it was so bad that they had to just come home because they weren't safe in Greece either. But the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are still putting your children, grandchildren, or great-grandchildren in danger on their missions. As Nelson came out in conference and said, if they die on their mission, think celestial. They go to the celestial kingdom. It's more important that they are out there spreading the gospel of the Book of Mormon and thus get murdered by the warning in the Book of Mormon. That's the evil of the church. And so I keep putting in the picture, come home, missionaries, for your safety. And nobody's listening. Nobody cares to bring their children, grandchildren, or great-grandchildren home. To accept the reality and the facts that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not true. That they're lying and deceiving us. And those lies and deceptions are for a final solution. To sacrifice you so that the church can get their kingdom back. Just like Islam sacrificing their own people to have their kingdom established. Because it's not just the Jews they're planning on exterminating. So, why aren't Mormons leaving? Why are you so stubborn? And yes, there are Mormons who are Danites, who want to be just like their third great-grandfather, or third to fifth great-grandfather now. They know the church is lying, and they help spread the lie among Mormons as they laugh and go, oh, those dumb Mormons. If only they knew what I know. Because they go to church, they get up at the pulpit of Fast and Testimony meeting, which was last Sunday, wasn't it? Not this Sunday. And they say, I know the church is true. I know that Jesus is the Christ. And the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ. That Joseph Smith was a Christian and formed the one and only true Christian church on the face of the earth. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. And other Mormons who are naive and ignorant go, wow, yeah, I felt it. So true. So sad. I literally, the more I learned of the fraud of the church, the more church disgusted me. I saw the brainwashing, the hypnotizing that was going on, and the Mormons who refused to recognize what it was they were doing. And I still remember talking to a single woman in the younger singles ward about the Book of Mormon's process of faith leading to physical reality, physical results. And she broke down and cried because she never understood that. She'd gone on a mission. I destroyed her faith with the Book of Mormon. And so, yeah, she didn't want to see me after that. And so, yeah, when she came across me again, she said that I was wrong and she was right all along, and she just reinforced her false belief, built up a sturdier wall to defend against me the next time. It's the Book of Mormon. And so, yeah, that's what Mormons who stay in the church are doing. They're trying to build a wall so that when they see my video, they attack, but they never respond if I allow their comment and put them in their place. Not a single person is able to defend the church soundly. They use fallacy arguments every single time, and they have no clue what a fallacy is anyway. They never bother to look it up because it's the philosophies of men. And that's what they don't get. A fallacy is the philosophies of men. You can't use that to defend the church or anything. You have to use sound argument. That's the truth. The scriptures tell you the truth. Agronomy, it's a science. And so the word is likened unto a seed, therefore. The seed is not the fruit, neither is the word the truth. You have to produce the word into physical reality, the results, to know the word is true. You got to test the word. So, and that's what Mormons are not doing with what the prophets say at conference or any of this church news stuff. They've never found out and gotten a testimony that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is false and lying to them. So they just believe whatever they're told, and they get deceived, and then their lives are ruined, and they don't understand why. What happened? How did this happen? I was a faithful Mormon. Why do bad things happen to good people? It's because you weren't good. Plus, natural disasters are not bad. They're just part of nature, unless big oil companies purposely raised up the temperature to cause climate change. Which, dear God, don't even get me started on that